All right. So we are going to be making this wonderful fancy fold. It's a gate card because it has like a little gate in the front, but it's also a shutter card because when you open it, it does this wonderful little thing like that, which is absolutely fun. So before we get started, I want to show what I'm using because some of these parts and pieces come from a bundle, and this is Celebration free paper. So the free paper, la 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 la. Let me do this. The free paper. This is some of what I used. This is Berry Delightful paper, and it is very delightful. It has a lot of funness, and I wanted to make something that was kind of a friendship, Valentine friendship thing, but not be all hearts and kisses and love and stuff. So with these colors, I felt it made a really good card. So it's just wanted to say thank you for being you, and then there was the strawberry in the middle. The strawberry I was using, it came from the Sweet Strawberry stamp set, which I love, love, love. And take my rubber band off. And it comes as a bundle with this punch. So I know I'm going to be doing a class or something with this punch because I already see some fun images that I want to be using with that. I always like thinking out of the box. So first, before we start, I want to show you what the sayings came from on the front. And in our catalog, it's on page 35. It's the many messages, and it's all of these, and it's one stamp, and it has a coordinating die. So what I did is I cut out a bunch of little, let me see if I can turn down. I don't know if you can see that, but I cut a bunch of the dies out, and I keep them in a little tray so I could just grab when there's one that I want. So the other thing I wanted to show you is if you use your Stamparatus, you might be going, oh, well, I don't want this big thing. I just want this little saying here. So I'm going to show you how you could do that using your Stamparatus. So I'm going to pull you back down so you can hopefully see. So I'm going to use the brush end. I kind of laid this down so I know about where I want it to be. Let's see if you can see that okay, guys. All right. There we go. So I know where I want it to be, kind of in the center, and then I put my little magnet at the top to hold it. So now I am just going to take this. I could ink it with an ink pad, but I'm just choosing to make a mess with my marker. Yes, because it's fun to do that. I'm going to put it down and lift it up. And then I have my little sentiment. Thank you for being you. So I don't have to use this as a big stamp all the time. So let's say I want to make my little wonderful messages. So I'm going to ink this up. Oops. It would be quite helpful if I put my paper here. I didn't measure that out. Let's put it over like that. Okay, there we go. I'm not real worried about this. There. Okay, so I'm going to ink this up. When you're using a big stamp, I always recommend a Stamparatus because if it doesn't quite get it in one word or one place or whatever, and I just inked this, so I might be overkill on this, but I just wanted to show you. If it doesn't work, my magnet's in the way. There we go. If it doesn't work, you can always go back, and there's no harm, no foul with it. Well, look at that. Now, that's not quite as dark as I want it to be. So I am going to just go back over it real quick. Now, the reason I'm doing this and I'm showing this to you in the video here is because there's a wonderful, wonderful little way that Stampin' Up! Has given us to line this up to the die. And it gives you extra little bonus things with it. And I'm going to show it to you in just a second. All right, so I'm happy with that. So as you can see, some of this, like here, it's got a little bit of texture to it. It's, you know, the design itself has like little lines in it, and there's finely done things. So, okay, now that I have that done, move that out of the way. We're going to go, okay, so how do you line this up? Well, what's wonderful about this is I don't know if you can see, but there is a heart, a star, there's another star, and another star at the bottom. So I have a heart, a star here. So if I just line that up with those, do you see that? How I line up that little heart, lined up the stars, and then I run it through my embossing machine. So I am not going to run it through right now because I have already pre-done my things that I have here in my little tray. But I wanted to show that to you because it is just so helpful to know that it's that easy to use it. So what we're going to do, I have my card base, and I am going to be using a panel. And my panel size, I had all my sizes right here. There we go. My panel, so my card base is 8.5 by 5.5. It is scored at 2 1/8 on both sides. And this is what's going to create my gatefold. Now, sometimes you can do 2 1/8 on one side and then meet up with the other side instead of scoring the other side, just so it makes a nice fit. So I'm going to kind of adjust because I scored both sides. There we go. So I have my gatefold already there. So what the joy of this is we're going to have an inside panel. This is Whisper White. It's 3 by 5.5. And then I punched a circle die out of it that was about 2 1/4 circle die. So that's kind of what I just stamped on there. Okay. So that's that. And then I have my panel pieces, and my panel pieces are 3, nope, they are not. They're 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. Where's my other piece? Here it is. Yeah, I feel kind of weird today, just a little off. Okay. So I am going to adhere these down. And I love this paper because it's got, you know, beautiful stuff on the other side. So what I wanted to do is kind of have a mix. So one on one side, one on the other. But, you know, if you're making your own card, you could certainly put down whatever side you do or don't want on your card. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue because I like that it gives me that wiggle room that I can put this on. Okay, so I'm putting that down. And I'm going to put my other side down. There's different glues. Like I had done my prototype card that I was just showing you, my sample card, and I did that. And on the inside mechanism, I used, when I was adhering that one panel with the hole in it, for lack of better words, I used mono adhesive, and that puppy popped right back off. So I would recommend when you're putting this on the inside of the card that you use either liquid glue or you use tear and tape. You're going to want something a little bit stronger. Okay, so now I have my gate here, but it's not quite finished. So I have a 1.5 by 2. This was a 1.5 by 2, and I just cut it in half because I just wanted to flip on the opposite side like that. So it's going to look a little bit different. Now, you don't have to, but it's just what I chose to do. So I'm going to quickly put that on. Come on, glue. You're even a new bottle. So I love this free paper. It's just, I don't know, it just reminds me of something cheery and happy. And to be honest, with all of this COVID stuff going around, it's been a little bit dreary and drab. So there we have it. Okay. So now when I put this onto my card, I want to have that center line up. So I'm just going to turn it upside down. I'm going to make a little notch with my finger there. So now I know that I'm just going to be doing this half because that's the half that's going to stick. I only want to stick one half. So if you put it on the wrong half, well, that's okay. It'll just be opening from that side. So putting glue down, I'm going to adhere this right about there. There we go. So now the wonderful things that I have cut out here, I am going to choose a sentiment. I think I'm going to choose the just wanted to say sentiment because that just fits so pretty right there. So I'm going to stick that on with a glue dot. And of course, my glue dot isn't within reach. So or of dimensionals, not glue dot. I'm jumping ahead of myself because I know that I don't have my stuff handy that I want to use. Okay, so I'm just going to put a dimensional there. Dimensional here. You know, dimensionals really do add that extra little oomph to a card when you go from flat to a little bit of a variety of height. It just, I don't know, there's something about it. Okay, so now I'm going to make this bow. And you're like, well, that's not a very long piece of ribbon. But what I like to do is loop one, make one loop. I'm going to make another loop. So I have 2 little bunny ears. And I'm just going to bring the bunny ears down, bring one bunny ear through the hole. And when I pull it, I've got my little ribbon. And I know this would be so much better, guys, if I gave you an overhead view. But I just haven't worked out that technology yet. Working on it. But hopefully this gives you enough. So I just kind of play with that until I get it as tight as I want it. And that's my insulin pump going off. Sounds like I'm going to blow up. Okay, here we go. All right. And then I'm going to attach it. I don't have my glue dot, so I'm just going to put a dot of glue like that. And then snip where, oops, okay, yeah, it's being fussy on me. I'm going to have to let that sit there. I might have to come back off camera and after I hunt up my glue dot. Okay, so there I have the front of my card. All right, so the inside, that's the part that we want to work on. So the inside, you have your top and you have your bottom. And the bottom on this card is going to be, you know, I kind of cut my circle close to the middle, but there's a little bit more on the bottom because I want to place something there. So what I'm going to do is take my sticky strip. Boy, that was close. I about knocked all my sentiments off. And I'm going to go across the top right there. I'm going to put it on the bottom, but I'm not going to adhere the bottom down right away. But it's just there waiting for it. Okay. So once I know where this is going to be, it's going to show me where my circle falls. So I'm going to put this in the center, line it up there. So you can see where it's loose. Okay. I am going to my circle here. If I wanted, I could put it in here and I could stamp in here, but I don't have to stamp in here because I know where it's going to go because I already have my inside put in place. So now I'm just going to do a quick little image. And again, I'm just kind of carrying that strawberry theme out. And I'm going to be in the center as much as I can. I'm going to try to be in the center of this. I'm going to stamp off a little bit because I want this to be a little bit lighter. So now I can come with my darker color. Love the two-step stamping here. Whatever image you're stamping with, it's, you could do a sentiment in there. You could do a little fun thing in there. It's totally your card. I will tell you, you cannot glue something inside on this. It has to be directly stamped. Ask me how I know. Yes, it will catch. I saw some of you laughing. Thank you, Sandy, for laughing. It will catch and it will be ugly. So, come on. Come on. Let's get this. I love this one, Leaf. I'm going to do that straight on. Let's see. Nothing like having pressure watching everybody have everyone watching you stamp. And you know what? If I don't line it up just perfect, although I did, that was pretty good. I couldn't have done that if I tried. Okay, so that's my little guy. I am going to directly adhere him. I would recommend liquid glue, but again, it's really up to you what you want to use for that. You could use something as long as you know it's not going to pop up. So now I'm taking this, and while my little template is down in there, I'm just laying it in because I need it to be in position. Do you see that? Magic. Not really. It's just easy. All right, so I've got that. Now, the only thing that I am left to do are my shutters. So on my shutters, my piece of paper is 3.5 inches by 4. And it's scored a 1/2 inch on to make it shorter. So it makes it almost like 3.5 by 3.5. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and this is really important, I'm going to need to make my little window because if I don't cut that off the square, nothing's going to show when it pulls open. So to do that, I want to measure. Okay, I'm sorry, I got to take care of that. I'm going to want to measure, and I'm going to show you on this. When you measure, you are going to want to come up. Where's my ruler? Ruler. All right, here we go. Guys, I tell you, I am truly scatterbrain. I don't know how you put up with me. Okay, so I know that this is going across this way. All right, this is 4 going this way, right? And then it's 3.5 going this way. So in your instructions that I have you going over 1 3/4. So I'm just going to take my ruler over 1 3/4. I got into stamping because I was a quilter, and I found that this was just a lot easier and less expensive to play with paper than it was to play with fabric. So I'm going over from the side. Again, my scored edge is at the top. I'm going in. I'm going to go 1 3/4 in, and then 2 inches up and put a little dot. I'm doing this on the side that's not my correct side, because I want to be able to hide anything that may or may not, that little dot. I want to be able to hide it. Okay, so now I am just simply going to go from this dot to this corner, and I'm just going to aim. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to aim up and go up to the dot. From the other corner, go up to the dot. And I looked at my stuff, so my thing's going to be a little bit warbly, but that's going to be okay. Let me try this one. Now, if you wanted to draw a line, you certainly could. I'm just kind of winging it because it doesn't have to be perfect. If I aim my scissors, I've got it. Okay. Now, the one thing that I do want to make you mindful of, I folded this like this because I knew that that's the width that I have to put my stuff on, but I'm not going to slide it in that way because I want mine to be with this side up. Okay. So whatever, it's going to have your adhesive is going to be on the right side. So if you want to fold it over so you could see how long you have till you get to your fold, or if you just want to try to eyeball, but because of my DSP with lines, it was hard to see. So it's easier for me to see where I have to go when I flipped it over. So I'm going to put a little tear and tape here. And this flap, and I'm going to put a little on the other flap. I love these Motion Fun Fold cards because they just give whoever you give it to, you know, it just gives such a pop. I mean, Hallmark is a great greeting card, but, you know, they can't compete to the cards we get to make, right? Okay, so I'm going to, sorry if I get off screen here. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this little corner here is actually going to be, let me move this back so you can see better. There we go. I want to make sure that this little piece is going to kind of be center. So before I commit to anything, I'm going to just kind of lay them both down. I took my sticky strip off. I'm going to lay them in there, slide this one in, make sure that it's kind of even. And when I lay this in, I am going to make sure, and I'm just going to do one side at a time because I can see it better. I'm going to make sure that it is the edge of my designer paper is along the crease of the card, if that makes sense. Okay. I don't know if you can see that. And that this is kind of cutting in the center or laying in the center. I'm going to fold my card over to adhere it, give it a little rub. And when I open it, do you see how it's pulling the card when I open? So now I'm going to just fold it their way to kind of help it commit to it. So I have one side down. So I'm going to do the same for the other side. I'm going to lay it in underneath. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to watch my little tips up here. So it's not kind of going cockeyed. I want it to be lined up nicely. All right. It looks like that is lined up. I'm going to close my card. It's going to grab that adhesive and it's going to pull it. And then now I am going to rub it with my bone folder. So the only thing left now is for me to put the bottom on. It's been hanging out there waiting. So now I'm going to pull that down like that. So I have my gatefold with a little shutter. Okay. Now this has given me room to write something here if I wanted. And for my card, I just wanted to use one of these little pre-cut things that I had made. And I'm writing, "Thank you for being you." And this, it doesn't matter if I glue it straight down or if I put it on a dimensional, well, it's on the inside of the card, so maybe it does. I'm just going to glue that puppy down. But you could leave that statement for a handwritten note or whatever. But the fun with this card, the fun thing about this card is the pop of that little movement. And maybe you've made these before. They're super easy, once you put one together, and that's the card. So I love, love, love the medallion bundle. It is so useful for cards of all kinds. And the next card we're going to make actually uses some of the words as well as the stencil that's left over from punching all of those things out or running the die through. So I'm going to turn off the recording and then you guys can keep stamping and we'll just talk. So let's see. Let me get this turned off. All right. And stop recording.